Grace, it's your lucky day.
I can't wait.
I'm going to teach you the art of small mammal trapping.
Brilliant.
It's a bit of an art and a bit of a science. These are Longworth small mammal traps, and obviously they catch the animals alive. When we're talking about small mammals, we're talking principally mice, voles, shrews. The biggest thing I ever caught in one of these was a weasel.
Wow.
One of the most exciting afternoons of my life. And the trap is in two parts. Essentially, it's this piece here, and this is where the animal lives after you've caught it.
Okay.
And then this part is essentially the trap, this tube. And it's got this little door on the front that you can see there, and then it's a little treadle at the back of it there. And when the animal touches the treadle, the door closes. And then you can open that to clean it, and also sometimes get the small mammal out by lifting that up. So what you do is basically you take this piece here, and I've brought you some nice fresh hay to make life easy, nice and dry.
Lovely.
And you put a little bit of that in there to keep it nice and warm. And then you need to put some food in to keep it well stocked, should it go in there. So I use sort of peanuts and sunflower hearts. That's fine for mice and voles, they'll love that. But there's a missing ingredient which I couldn't offer you being plant-based. And that is that we need some meat in here if you catch a shrew.
Right.
Because they're insectivores.
Yes.
So there are two options. One, you can use mincemeat, which they'll eat. The trouble is you put a little bit in, about the end of your finger, just that much. You don't need very much.
Yeah.
But it does tend to go off. So then you have to replace it. Or you can use blowfly pupae. And you can get those in angling shops.
Brilliant.
You're looking at me like...
I know.
Anyway,
Never stepped foot in an angling shop in my life.
you might have to now. And they're called casters.
Okay.
And fishermen use them as bait. Now the benefit of those is that they're living and they sustain the shrews, but of course they don't go off, and all that can possibly happen is that eventually they will hatch into flies which make their own way out.
Yeah.
But the key thing is this shouldn't happen anyway, because you've got to check them every day. So that's one of the key things. So anyway, you put the food, you put the grass in there to keep them warm, and then you've got to attach the tube to this.
Okay.
And this is the slightly tricky bit.
Okay.
It's got this little lip here.
Yep.
You put that in, and you pull that under that flap there. And then on the bottom here, you can see it's got those two sets of notches.
Yep.
So what you do is you stick that in there like that. You put that under, and then you put that between the two sets of notches like that.
Pulling it down
so
with
it sits there, and then you use that on the top to lock it in place.
Brilliant.
And then you've got your trap. Now, where do you set it?
Yeah.
Obviously on the ground, and you want to set it somewhere where the animals can access it, but it can't be seen. These are valuable, and I've had these since I was about 23 years old.
Wow.
Sort of sentimental value.
Vintage.
Okay. So you hide them away underneath the grass, and then you. But the key thing is, once you've hidden them away, you can't lose them. So two top tips. What I always do is I put one down, and then I'll pace 3 steps or 5 steps or whatever it happens to be, 10 steps. Okay, and then I put the next one down.
Okay.
And I find the nearest good spot to it in about that much space.
Yeah.
And what that means is that if you've counted your 5 steps, you know it's there.
Yeah.
All you need to do is find the first one.
Okay.
And what I do is make an inconspicuous little knot out of some grass, which
Nice.
no one will really notice. So get some dead grass, tie it into a knot like that, throw it on top of the first one, and then you know that you've just go down 5 steps.
Brilliant.
Then what you do is you put that into there, you push the little door up like that.
Yep.
So that's now set. And I will tempt them out. So I'd sprinkle just a small amount of that outside for the wood mice and for the bank voles, etc. And then you leave that in there. And then obviously when you come back, it's easy to see if they've been triggered because the door's down. If the door's up, you don't need to do anything. And quite often I just reach down, put my finger there, and I can sense if the door's open. You just leave it. If the door's down, you might have something in there. You do get false alarms. One really annoying thing is that sometimes slugs will go in. Really annoying.
That would be really annoying.
Okay, so then what you do is you take this with the door will be down like this.
Yeah.
And then you basically, what you need is a large polythene bag, and you put this inside the polythene bag, hold the top of the bag, put this in the bottom, break it open like that, and very often the mammal will be in here. and then you can either reach down in the bag or you can reach through the bag, and you pull shake the grass out, and then the small mammal will pop into the bag.
Okay.
And then then through the bag you can identify it.
Brilliant.
The key thing is that these animals are territorial, and it's important that you let them go where you catch them.
Yeah, of course.
Particularly the mice. So if you catch the mice, then have a look at them, identify them. It should be probably here: wood mouse, bank vole, common shrew will be the most likely species we're going to catch in the woodland. You might get field voles if you're near to the woodland edge. Who knows what else we might get? But and then you can reset the trap. One thing that will happen is that if the mice are quite cunning, so once they know that they're getting food in there, rather than becoming trap happy, and you'll get the same mouse night after night.
Yeah.
It's just basically going in there for a nice warm sleep and a fabulous meal of sunflower hearts and peanuts.
How will I know if it's the same mouse each time?
Well, there are ways that you can mark them. So one thing you can do, and it requires a bit of dexterity, and that is that you can actually, using a pair of scissors, just trim the guard hairs, the very longest hairs off the top of the back. So you're not compromising any insulation or waterproofing.
Yeah.
You only have to do a very small area, and that will make a black line on the mouse's back.
Yeah.
The thing about the mice is that if you choose to handle them, and we'll get them out when I come back, there are ways that you have to handle them. So a wood mouse you hold by the back leg, never by the tail.
Okay.
If you hold it by the tail and they struggle, then that can strip the skin off of the tail. So you have to hold them by the back leg. Now, they can, on occasions, be a little bit bitey.
Yeah.
But, frankly, this is a tiny UK rodent. And whilst there are issues with disease transmission like Weil's disease, leptospirosis, etc., I can tell you that I've been bitten by a very large number of UK small mammals, and I'm still talking to you.
Well. Do you still get excited to this day when you go to a trap?
Because you don't know what's in there.
No, exactly.
And it's that moment of cracking it open. What are you going to get? What are you going to get?
Could be a slug.
Could be a slug. And do you know what? So I had So I had a wood mouse infestation in my house. They were coming into the house and chewing up all my clothes, chewed up all my trainers.
Oh my goodness.
I can't believe it. I love animals. But, and there were so many mice in the house that I set 2 traps one night, and I caught 2 mice at the same time in each trap.
Wow.
Caught 4 mice, that's how many mice
That's
they
mad.
were following each other in before they were even tripping the tread.
It's another level of trap happy, that.
Yeah, there we are. Okay, so look, have a practice, because this is the tricky bit.
Okay.
Right, so you stick that underneath the flap.
Make sure it's into those notches.
Yeah, then you stick that into the notches there like that.
Yeah.
So you can feel that's not going back, and then you just click that on like that.
Okie dokie. And then
to get it open, just pop that.
Okay.
Right. There we are.
Perfect. And is that too
No, it doesn't
high
matter.
up
No,
or not?
that's the way they're meant to sit, yeah. If it's sat flat, it's because it's not in the notches, so they sit like that. And when you put it on the ground...
Want it in some nice kind of longish grass.
Yeah,
and
cover it over.
Yeah.
And leave a little entrance there, don't obviously butt that up against the
Yeah,
grass
of course.
like that. Leave it so there's some space for them to get in and out. And the key thing is you've got to check them every day. Don't put them anywhere where they're going to flood, obviously, or anything like that.
Yeah, of course.
Think about their welfare.
What's the best time of day to be checking them?
So I always set them in the evening, check them in the morning.
Yeah.
And then again, obviously, you can, if you want to, there are some of them have a little clip here, so you can, if you pull that out and then put it in, it locks the door up, so the door can't go down.
Okay.
And then that means that they can go in and out and have their food, and you're keeping them happy, and then you just go back, you see the door just going down like that.
Okay.
Like that. So that's just a little door lock. And that means that you can leave them out, but not worry about animals being trapped inside.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to leave them in there for too long, because they'll run out of food and maybe get cold.
And so what will this tell us about how we're doing with the regeneration of our open
Well, firstly, it will tell
spaces?
us which species we have here, and the mammal records here, amongst all of the records we've got, are probably the poorest.
Yeah.
And that's because when you're out and about, you don't see these things. You need to be employing these sorts of techniques. So firstly, we'll see that we've got wood mice. We've seen those on the camera,
We have.
to be honest with you. And then we'll see bank voles, I've no doubt, and as I say, the common shrews too.
Yeah.
Now, if we were to try and catch dormice, and there's a good chance that they're here, you're not going to catch those on the ground because they're too arboreal. And we use a different type of device to catch dormice, which is essentially a tube which you put up in the brambles or the trees. And again, they don't go in Well, you can put food in it, but they go in it to rest in it. They're
Okay.
not trapped in it. They
Yeah,
can
yeah,
come
yeah.
and go and come and go. But because they sleep in the daytime, you can go up, put your hand over the tube like that, and then take them down and have a look. But I've got to stress that you've got to do that under license. So you and
Yeah.
I can't do that,
Of course.
without applying for a license. So what we will do in that situation is get someone to come in who's got a dormouse license, and they can do those for us. So
Yeah.
that would be one way of doing that. Then what we can do is I'll bring the rest of my traps down, and then we can set them all out. And you do get there's an index where you can calculate the densities of these animals on the ground. It's relatively time consuming and complicated.
Yeah.
In terms of, obviously you've got to make sure you're not catching the same mouse.
Of course.
But yeah, presence and absence will be good.
Yeah.
Will
Brilliant.
be good.
Well, I can't wait.
There's your sunflower hearts. There's your peanuts.
Peanuts.
Mince or casters. Casters from the angling shop.
Casters, yeah.
I'm going to love it.
I'm gonna
You're
prefer
be on
that
you're
over the
gonna be
mince, for sure.
On the phone, you're going to be saying, yes, do you have any casters?
Yeah.
How much are your casters?
I won't know who I am anymore.
No. But they're one of the best ways of doing it.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
no,
lending
good.
these to
No,
me.
No, not at all. Good luck. Good luck.
Can't wait.
Yeah, no, you'll catch the obvious things relatively easily.
Yeah.
Get a nice big robust polythene bag that you can see through.
Okay.
Because the key thing about the wood mice is that they're great jumpers.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll jump waist height.
That's amazing.
So you'll need if you haven't got the bag closed whilst you're fiddling around at the bottom.
They're out.
They're on your
Yeah.
They're up your nose.
No,
or on
stop it.
on your ears. They
Oh.
seriously are.
I feel like I'm going to get bitten.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, you don't have to handle the
No,
animals. You can just have
exactly.
them in the bag, and you can see what
I
they
think
are.
that's probably best.
Yeah. When I come back, I'll show you how to handle the animals without harming them.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. You put them over the back of your hand like that. They don't generally bite into your hand. If
Yeah.
you offer them your little finger like that, and you've got a particularly recalcitrant wood mouse, then it might nip you. And if you catch a yellow-necked mouse are light wood mouse,
Yeah.
and they're larger, but you normally get them near human habitation. They are basically rodent tigers.
Really?
Well, they just bite and bite and bite.
Wow.
I've got photographs of my hands completely
Oh my goodness.
covered in blood because I'm holding a yellow-necked mouse, and it's just basically just
Wow.
biting and biting and biting. They're really annoying. And
Brilliant.
they're much larger, and you really feel it.
Yeah.
So brace yourself for yellow-necked mouse.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much.
All right. Good luck.
Cheers.